Hello again, morning. I've had a good few days, I have to say. This weather may not be make for the most lovely living conditions, but it's been so wonderful waking up in the morning and just knowing what you're going to do rather than having to frantically check the weather app every 20 minutes to see whether you're going to get rained upon. And because of that, I've had some really good progress. So all the door sides are now done. Another thing that helped is I remember at the start of the previous video when I was starting cutting up this wood, I assumed I was just going to cut it with the circular saw and then trim it all on the table saw. However, when I started, I realised there were so many angles and little bits, it just wasn't worth it. So using the circular saw, as long as I took care and attention, I could do it all with the circular saw, which made life an awful lot easier. Certainly not having to haul out the table saw every day, which takes some doing, I have to say. Anyway, so here are the results. So please excuse the mess because I know it's an absolute tip in here, and that will be one of my things to do, to have a tidy up in the near point. But basically, so I'll just walk through the, that will be the living saloon cabin. Here is just about the where the kitchen cabinets will be, and then walking through there'll be here's some tall cabinets. That's where the fridge is going to live. Another couple of words. Into the bathroom area, so that's where the shower will be, sink down there, and then through into the cabin, and there are the rear cupboards which I started at the start. And carrying on the theme of carrying on with things, getting stuff that I don't want to do out of the way, as I've sort of got the let's call it the inertia going. I'm actually going to cut the blanks for the sides of the low-level kitchen cupboard as well. It said it's out of the way. I'm not going to use them anytime soon, although actually one of them I might need to use for the fireplace. Anyway, I will. Won't use them soon, but as I said, it's so nice to just get those sheets cut down, and then I'm not having to maul those huge plywood sheets around. However, on the downside, I'm going through the pile of wood quite fast, and I'm realising I'm going to have to order some more. So, although I'm feeling like I'm getting towards the end of it, unfortunately, another pile of plywood is going to have to arrive in its place at some point in the future. You know, somehow it feels like I'm almost on holiday. I don't know. Well, I do know why, because the sun is out, and I'm just here and I'm cutting out exactly the same thing again and again. So I'm having to be careful to make it sure it's right, but I'm not having to think. I'm just there, and it's moving along without any stress or strain, which is absolutely lovely. Well, that's those done. It's just the large boards cut into the right height. There's still got to be split more or less down the middle, but I'm not doing any more of it for now. However, that means at least they're a lot easier to handle when I do come to finally get around to do something with them. So while I've been cutting all those boards up, I've also been having a bit of a side hustle for the few moments towards the end of the day where there was a bit of light, but not enough to start another board. Which is a very rudimentary stool, but not for me, for the water tank. And not the water tank, but the hot water calorifier. Not that it's been completely plain sailing. The bird that visited me before Christmas, and I'm sure it's the same one, decided to try and have another go at making the boat his home. Come on, come on. Right, go. Yes, go. Bye. And people who know me. People who know me know that I'm a very light sleeper, and last night I absolutely swear that I heard a mouse squeak, which allied to the fact that when I was sitting here a couple of evenings ago, I'm sure in the corner of my eye I saw some, it's when you see something zip past like mice do, which would not be completely unsurprising given they're surrounded by fields and given the weather. If it's a mouse, I would be tempted to try and anyway. Although. Given the temperature the boat's been the past week or so, it's if he did get in here, he probably was unpleasantly surprised at the temperature. Anyway, I guess I've got a trap at home, a humane trap, which I'll bring up just in case, because I certainly don't want a mouse nibbling away at my food, and even more so, I don't want them nibbling away at my wires. Morning. Well, I've had a couple of days away from the boat, and even more importantly, it's warmed up a little bit. Now, it's still the middle of winter, so we're not talking tropical, but at least it's staying above freezing at the moment, which is making a huge difference to my general well-being and mood. Anyway, onto some progress, let's hope. So I've been, as so often, I was like, what to do now? There's so much I can do. And I've decided to try and push ahead with the damn fireplace. While I was at my mother's, we were talking about the whole issue, and she happened to she's just changed her stove over and had some of the old tiles left over, which are slate, which are a tiny bit greeny, but they do actually match they seem to go with the rest of the floor tiles. And as you can see, there is actually, happily, there is enough to fit the area I need. The only downside is that I think there must have ones that have actually been previously used, and there's some of them have been cut to size. So they're all slightly different sizes, and I'm going to then have to trim them also the same size, otherwise it's going to look a complete dog's breakfast. Well, it just so happens that I happen to have a diamond cutting disc on my old and small angle grinder, which I haven't used for absolutely years. The last thing I used was for cutting stone. So hopefully it's got enough oomph left in it that it will do those few tiles, but let's see. It's extremely windy out there, which is why I'm talking to the camera in here, because otherwise, if I try outside, just going to get... However, on the plus side, it's going to be quite good for dust extraction. Well, that worked a treat, although I realised I forgot to put a dust mask on, and my freshly washed overalls not so longer fresh. But yeah, with it's chipped a bit once, but I'm going to use some relatively self-coloured grouts. So, well, quite a few more of those to do, but I'll crack on with those. Well, that's them cut up, but a long way from being in place, because the next task I have to do... Those of you with a forensic memory might remember just before Christmas I put lots of rows of extra battens along here where the hearth is going to be. However, as you can see, I had just when I was restarting this again, I had a change of mind, and what I decided to do is to actually use some of the flooring 25mm plywood flooring offcuts to infill that. And the reason being is that actually, it means it's a continuous base rather than just lots of battens, because I'm going to have to screw down the stove, and originally I was going to carefully align where I thought, where I had worked out where the feet of the stove were going to be. But doing like this, of course, it means that the screws can go anywhere. So I'm going to screw. I'm going to screw these down. For anything is fixed down, I'm giving a good slosh with my my old friend wood treatment. I have to say, it's coming out very. I guess all cold weather hasn't been kind to this, and I'm sure it says on the back, "Do not store below." Yeah, probably. However, give it a good stir. Better than nothing. Then a smoothing layer of plywood. And finally some Hardybacker cement board. for any tiling action, I'm priming the cement board with some diluted PVA. Right, while that dries, it's lunchtime. Right then, well, I have to say, I'm not looking forward to this. I mean, whilst I like doing DIY things, but yeah, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this project. Apart from sheet materials, tiling is just something that I just fail at miserably. I've tried it on 2 occasions when I was redoing my house and my subsequent flat. Both times it came out such a mess that I ended up having to pay somebody to redo it. So it's a small area, but then it was a small area in the toilet in the flat, and it came out awful. But hey, nobody's ever going to come out to do this, so I'm just going to have to cross my fingers that this comes out okay. Well, it's probably better than my previous attempts, but I won't be entering myself to any Tile of the Year awards, that's for sure. And let's see what it looks like in the morning. Well, the grout's not quite the colour I expected. It's supposed to be charcoal. I'd say it's more chocolate, but hey, it's fine. It's fine. And yeah, obviously I'm now itching to get the stove sort of in place, but 2 things need to happen for that. One, I need to get somebody to help me to get the thing in the boat, because there's no way I can move on my own. And secondly, I'm just going to leave the tiles for to sort of cure and set for a day or so longer, because it said you can walk on them for in 24 hours, but the full strength isn't maintained until that week. So rather than as the stove will just sit there, rather than have any accidents, I will wait a bit. In the meantime, I'm going to start putting the calcium silicate on this side wall. There's going to be some on the side, the gunnel here. There's also going to be some behind me, but before until I do that one, I have to actually start erecting a kitchen cupboard, because that's what it's going to be mounted on, and that will wait for another moment. But I might as well get this done before the stove's there, while it's easy to do, and it's also then it's less stuff hanging around, which is good.